welcome. Morning, what's happening? How's it going, everyone? Great to be here. Again, great to be alive. You know, thank God for life. Um, so this morning, I'm going to read from the book of Ephesians, and then I'm just going to say a quick snippet out of a psalm afterwards that I wanted to speak over everyone in any event. But Ephesians 4 1 through 4 says, "Therefore, I, a prisoner for serving the Lord, beg you to lead a life worthy of your calling, for you have been called by God. Always be humble and gentle. Be patient with each other, making allowance for each other's faults because of your love. Make every effort to keep yourselves united in the Spirit, binding yourselves together with peace. For there is one body and one Spirit, just as you have been called to one glorious hope for the future." And the Psalms I wanted to read was Psalms 84 and 11 that says, "For the Lord God is our sun and our shield. He gives us grace and glory. The Lord will the Lord will withhold no good thing from those who do what is right." And today I am grateful for fellowship, and um I'm grateful for fellowship life, and just being able to come to a place every morning that I know that God wakes up and has breakfast, and where I could just feel his presence every morning. Um, Yesterday, I would have shared just a brief snippets, I would say, of, just stuff that I was kind of going through recently. You know, it was, there's been some stuff going on at my work, and I had to, I had to go into this meeting yesterday, right? Um, and I personally feel I was kind of blindsided by it, but then when I got into the meeting, um, it was just crazy to me because, okay, so I had this employee, and the employee had went. I mean, we sat on. I had to have a meeting with this employee yesterday and HR because this employee felt that I had said something to them that it kind of hurt their feelings, but it gave them anxiety, right? So the employee on Friday, I gave them a task to do, and when the employee was like, "No, but I have a lot of work to do," and I was like, "But a lot of work is better than having no work." But I said it jokingly. I didn't say it like threatening their job or anything, right? I said it like to say that, busy is good. And we say that, it's good to be busy. It's better than to have something to do, like to keep your mind focused on anything. And, the employee, I guess and it's understandable. Like when she related to me, how she felt that I said it. And then she explained to me, she was like, you know, you've been demonized by some of our Bahamian counterparts in the company as somebody to be afraid of. And it kind of took me aback. I was like, me? Like afraid of me? I was like, why? And then she was just explaining because, I was on a senior level and this and that and the ray. And I was like, but I don't think of it like that. I operate on the same level with you, and I try to do that every day. Like I try to be, as patient as I could with you, and I try to be as, like Paul was saying, obviously in this particular verse, I try to be as humble and as gentle with you, but I realize that a lot of times, like, we can't stop how others feel about us, like we could do all that we want as humans to try to give off a particular image, or try to, just we could try to make people feel comfortable with who they are, right? But at the end of the day, like, people still gonna just go off on what they either have been predetermined by you, or like what they have judged you over. Sometimes it could be your past and all what will just carry you through. But this particular verse, why I read it and how to me it relates to my story is, where Paul says in verse verse 2, so to speak, he says, always be humble and gentle. But he says, be patient with each other, making allowance for each other's faults because of your love. And, making allowance for each other's faults is so important. Like, I try to do it, but if everyone else used to do it at the same time, like, I wouldn't have necessarily been in that situation that I was in yesterday. Like she had prejudged me by what others had said about me. She had never, even though she is my employee, she listened to her cohorts, some of her colleagues, and had already predetermined what type of person that she thought that I was. You know what I mean? Like she didn't make any allowance for my faults. She already figured that I was this bad person without even getting to know me. And then I said I had to sit down too and realize that sometimes I'm guilty of that. I probably not as guilty. I hope not, because when you know something and you have the ability to understand it, you could put action behind your words. Um, but the reality is that like we have to remember that about each other. Like we all aren't perfect. We all fail. We all fail God one way or another. Sometimes daily, you know. And when we make room for that in each other's lives, it just gives us a little bit of hope to know that we could always be better. And that when we have the opportunity, we could always help that person to be better. You know, like sometimes, like a small word, a kind gesture, it could sometimes just be a smile, could be, or like I say before we close every morning, could just be something to just make somebody a little bit better that day. You know, it could just give them, if they had a preconceived notion about you, that smile could just change their outlook of it. They could now look and say, hey, you know, Gary mightn't be that bad of a person, or they see like the way that I treat other people, you know. They may look at it and say, hey, well, he might be a bad, they might say he bad, but he can't really be that bad. Look how we treat this person or that person. So I just wanted us to think about that and, just when we go throughout our day and just remember to make room for each other's faults. We all imperfect and sometimes people are gonna offend you. Sometimes people are gonna hurt you, you know. But what Paul tells us here is be patient with each other's faults, making allowance for each other's faults because of your love. That's the reason why we're doing it, because of our love. And that's what God commanded us to do, to love Him and love each other. That's it. So I'm Kerry, and I just wanted to share that with y'all this morning. I relinquish my mic.